I broke my first $1 million sitting bedside with my son in a coma because I had no plan B. I want to scale. I've heard scale, 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 but it starts with one thing that's really important. You got to have a great brand, and it's not what you think it is. They are in a transaction-based business. They sell time for money. I'm going to show you the secret to all of that. Sexy scale without systems will kill you. It's where 48% of businesses fail. So we want to get out of this time-based practice, but it's not as simple as just going, oh, okay. We have one person in our group who went from 4,000 patients a year to 150 patients a year, making a lot more money. I talked about being on Dr. Phil and how frustrated I was that I couldn't bring body composition out on TV. That was one frustration, but there was an even bigger one. Here was the bigger one. They would bring these practitioners onto TV and literally have me go teach the thing about cortisol and weight so they can go say it authoritatively to the camera. I was also helping Design for Health at the time, and I was going around as a practice development expert, right? So I was seeing the smartest people. And then I was seeing the people that got on national TV. They were not the same people. Clinical success does not equal business success. I can't stand that. That is like one of my life's missions now, is that the smartest people, the ones who get the amazing results, also will have amazing businesses. But it starts with one thing that's really important. You got to have a great brand. And it's not what you think it is. So that's what we're going to talk about in the secrets on that little sheet right there. One of the things I talk about a lot in Health Business Growth Collective is that you always want to do the right thing at the right time in your business. One of the challenges that happens when we get to events is that there's a lot of really cool stuff, and you walk out and you did a lot of things. You signed up for a lot of stuff that may not be the right thing at the right time. And you know what happens if you do the right thing at the wrong time? It becomes the wrong thing. And I can tell you personally, because I have bought so many things and done so many things that could have been great, but I wasn't where I should have been when I did them. So we all start and we all stay in training. Like every day I am reading exercise science stuff because it's always changing. So that's our responsibility as practitioners. You have to be in training. Now, the next step from training, where most people go and most people stay, is they become a time trader. A time trader is someone who is fee-for-service or insurance. They are in a transaction-based business. They sell time for money. They sell an adjustment, a pellet, an IV, etc. This is a terrible place to be because I know we've talked, raise your rates. You're like, but how? Okay, I'm going to show you the secret to all of that. So we want to get out of this time-based practice, but it's not as simple as just going, oh, okay. There's some things you must do in order to make that leap. But they're not going to more and more clinical conferences. So we've got to have both. And once you start to understand that and you realize that what we're really doing, and I mean, I learned this, I started out in exercise and nutrition. Do you know what happens if you have people pay as they go in exercise and nutrition, and you're supposed to train them on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m.? And then Friday night, what do? They text you Friday night at 11, they go, oh, I'm sick. If you have them pay as they go, they go. What I do is not a drive-by thing. It takes time. What you do takes time. And so you got to sell results in advance. So the big shift that has to happen is to move from transaction to transformation, to sell those results in advance, to package it into a program. We have one person in our group who went from 4,000 patients a year dying to 150 patients a year making a lot more money. Who wants that? Happier patients, happier practitioner. Everybody wins with this. Because someone who's coming to you just for what their insurance will cover is not committed. People commit with their time and money. So once you have a transformation-based program, there's a little problem that can happen. But there's two problems that can happen, because the first thing that happens is you might come to an event like this and go, that's what I need, a program. But I'm really sick of what I'm doing. So I'm going to do this other thing. I'm going to spend all this time. I'm going to create a program. Or maybe someone said, I can make a program for you for 15 grand. Because this has happened so many times, it makes me so angry. And they make the program, and then what happens? Nothing happens at all. I mean, you have less, $15,000 less, but nothing happens because it was Field of Dreams. You don't just build it and they will come. You actually have to have a proven system, but you're already doing it. You just can't see it because, you're in the frame and you can't see the picture. So that's the first thing, is you actually want to create a program that sells, and that's when you know it works. If no one bought it, it didn't work, right? We don't do theory, we do practice. So that's the first piece. Once you have one that's working, there is another thing that can happen, and it's a really seductive thing. You'll feel really good about yourself until you don't, because all of a sudden you're going, wow, they like me. I'm successful. They want me. They're coming for me. And then you realize you are the bottleneck. They're coming for you. You forgot the fact that what you created was a process that's not about you. So people can go through the process. And when you have the process, you trademark the process, and you have the process so that other people can do the process, and you can then work when you want to. So that's the next step. And I always say that because how do you get, because everyone goes, I want to scale. Do you know what happens if you create that program, you're the bottleneck, you put your foot on the gas, and you try to scale? You die. I broke my first $1 million sitting bedside with my son in a coma, because I had no plan B and I had to make this thing work. My second one, 2 months later. I went from 2 to 6 million, a year later, 6 to 10, and then started going, whoa, all the way back down. Why? I didn't systematize and optimize. I just went for the sexy scale. Sexy scale without systems will kill you. It's where 48% of businesses fail. So the least sexy piece of business is setting systems up correctly. And it is the single biggest, most important thing that can happen. Systems for your team, systems for marketing, systems for sales, all of the things. We must systematize before we scale. Once you've done that, though, then you get to put your foot on the gas and scale. And then you have another thing that happens. So you create this business. And all the way up as you were creating this business, everyone was cheering for you. They were so excited for you. And then you make it, and they don't like you anymore. They're not cheering for you anymore. And then you're up there, and you're lonely up there, and moreover, you're up there, but what you notice is that it is really slippery and muddy up there. And you start to slide, and then you look up and you realize that you weren't at the top anyway. There's another hill over there. There's never a top, and it's always fleeting, and it's always a journey. So I say this because probably as you were listening to this, you could go, oh, that's where I'm at. Now, we have a map of this with checklists. I love checklists. So we got checklists. So you can go through it. And here's the thing. If you go through this and you say, I'm in scale, but you look and realize that in Systematize, you have a whole lot of things you haven't done yet, you're in Systematize. That's fine. I had to go back to both my companies and go back heavy into Systematize over the last 2 years. So take that, use the checklist, go through it, see where you need to be and what the next right step is. But I say that because no matter where you are, there's something that we all need, and we all need to refresh. And that's our brand. If you want sales to be easy, create an amazing brand. When you have an amazing brand, then you know how to market. And when you market well, sales is easy. If your brand sucks, it's all impossible. So you got to fix the brand.